tight-knit lobbies here, and we have the extra added wrench into the gears, so to speak, of there being essentially a brand new patch. Just yesterday, we got a big balance patch that did hit a couple of things. However, one of the standouts is that the Penguin Slash-In was left alone. Vanguards were left alone. We'll have to see if that shows up a ton during today's House League. But of course, big welcome to everybody. There was a ton of people chatting even before I even got online. Incredible to see. Welcome, welcome everybody. In terms for our players here for today, let's take a look at our current lineups. We do have down at, or not down, but at the very, very top, of course, that's Lynx League. That's going to be our start off here, where it's going to be CFGD, Linkky, Illuvium Hunter, KaioteeHYPE, Gat, and then for, I think the first time, it might be the first time for Illuvium Hunter. It might be the first time here for Aposium, and then Teloolah here as well. I think they've been here basically every single week, so shout out to Teloolah as well. And then I'm going to say Zejaq, but I am not 100% sure how to pronounce, so by all means, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I am so sorry. But ZejaqWildfire is going to round up for the first time here, our Lynx League. The second matchup to go. Excuse me. The second matchup to go here is going to be super stacked as well. Monarch Masters has always been very, very tough, but we are full of tough competitors this time by. Bondaddyratty might have the best collection, but in terms of winning a lobby, it has been a little bit tough for Bondaddyratty. But then we do have ZejaqWildfire, the runner-up of the Illuvium Pro League, making an appearance here in the Illuvium House League. Definitely looking forward to that. Then, of course, we have some of our regulars, but they're absolute killers as well. We've got Dr. Spoon, we've got ZejaqWildfire, we've got Mojo Jojo, which is the rename of Squawk, so that's going to be something I have to get a little bit used to. As IFET's back once again here, Wolverine's going to make another appearance here in the Monarch Masters, alongside current rank 1 player on the ranked leaderboards, Axel from Apex. And then later on, wrap up the day, we're going to be doing the Carablu Cup, where we do have Zexy, Ethit, Robert Tacho, and Yin Wildfire going to take to the battlefield. The 4 of them going to compete for their chance of a couple of prizes. Let me very quickly run over what these prizes are. I know my Lynxes are eager, and they're already essentially in the lobby ready to go, so I thank them for that. We'll get in there in just a second. But of course, our prizes here today, we'll start from the top, where we've got the Carablu Cup again. Everybody is competing for a chance to get a starter deck here today, alongside some awesome Illuvium Beyond goods given to us by, well, Illuvium themselves. Big thank you there to Illuvium for that, as well as the fuel for the auto drone runs that get used here in the Lynx League and the Monarch Masters, where we start getting hyper auto drone runs and silver chests for Beyond goods. Charged auto drone runs, a couple of them as well. Monarch Masters, we get a little bit more in terms of the hyper auto drone runs, but still, we've seen how crazy the charged auto drone runs could be at finding some awesome pickups. But you may have heard me talk about starter decks. Well, for the Carablu Cup, let's quickly showcase which ones those are. And it just so happens Pangu might be a little bit meta again. And there's a starter deck for it now. Of course, big thank you to the Illuvium community for making these decks and putting them together. Helping me out big time. So we'll have the Vanguards. That one's only 6 Illuvials, but it's both the Slash-In and the Malura line, so it's all tier 3s. You've got the all-out Mud. It's a bit of a high-risk, high-reward play, but if you can land 4 Mud, it is absolutely incredible. I'm sure we might actually even see it today, but you can get everything you need in that purple one. And then the Natural Defenders, that is your Protect the Carrier, Protect the Seafarist style, but you can also use the Blotto and the Archelian for Aegis teams. So you have a little bit of a mixture of how you would like to handle that. Very quickly, let's also go over our past winners here in the Illuvium Arena House League. We take a look here. We talked about Dr. Spoon, CFGD, Mojo Jojo, ZejaqWildfire. Well, they're all here today. Basically, everybody who's won today, or everybody who's won in our past Illuvium House Leagues, will be here once again. Could we potentially see a new name up there? Could we potentially see our first 3-time winners? We have both Dr. Spoon and Gat going to be in the action here today, so it's definitely a potential. And then Robert Tacho, can they maybe hold the line here and score themselves a 2-win streak of sorts here in the Carablu Cup? We'll definitely have to see how it goes. I'm very much so looking forward to this. Let's take a look at our lobby. I currently do see, and I can actually show you this time what I'm talking about. We do currently have 7 out of 8, so we're almost there. Let's go through who we have here. So Gat is here and ready. Coyote is here and ready. Linkky is here and ready. Teloolah is here and ready. Illuvium Hunter, Zejaq, and Aposium are all here. I feel like I'm missing one, though. We'll just get that situated here in just a second. I need more tabs. I need more screens. And we'll get into this in just a moment's time. Who am I missing here? Yeah, I've got 7 out of 8. And we do have people as well that could potentially fill in today. If there are no shows for either the Lynx League or the Monarch Masters, we do have both Zico Perico and Lars here to fill in if need be. And I do see Lars in the chat, so I'm sure if need be, we'll get them on in. I'm just double checking and seeing who I'm missing. It looks like I'm just missing CFGD. So whether this is a, whether this is a visual bug or if they're not here yet, I'm not quite sure. We'll give them another 2 minutes. So we'll give it about another minute or so here and see if CFGD is going to be there, whether it be in the YouTube chat or in the Discord chat. Whether it's in the Discord chat or whether it's here in the stream chat. Zico Perico or Lars, are you near? To join Carablu, good chance to win prizes. I mean, I know you've got the heck of a Illuvium collection, but I don't think I've actually checked out your Illuvials there, Illuvium Beyond. What website am I using to see the lobbies? This is actually not a website. This is the program that was given to me by Illuvium. This is what they use actually to do the Illuvium Pro League last year. So I can actually help and manage the TOing side of things. I did double check and make sure that I was allowed to show this, because otherwise it was just me on camera saying I could see the lobby, but you didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to make it a little bit more clear as to what it is that I'm looking at. Looks like I do see Zico Perico. They are in chat. Okay. Checking Discord one more time. I have absolutely no word from CFGD. So first to come in is actually Zico Perico. Zejaq is saying no one's allowed to pick Burn except Zejaq. That I made the rules. That is blasphemy. Sylen has special tools. I guess so for this rare instance, yes. Am I a tool? I mean, you're probably not wrong either. I'll give you that too. That's totally fine. I do have Zico Perico in here. I see 8 players. We will get into the game in just a moment's time. I could start it off right here, right now. And 3, we just lost one. Right as I was about to start, we do end up losing one, unfortunately. So somebody might have to rejoin here in just a second. Let's see. I've got Zico Perico. I've got Linkky. I've got Illuvium Hunter. Coyote. Yes, I do have. Gat is the one that I'm missing. So if you're available there, Gat, it might just be a matter of rejoining here. Okay. Just sent the message out to Gat on the Discord side of things as well. Hopefully we'll get them back in here in just a moment's time. They were here not too long ago, so I'm hoping that they're able to get back in here relatively quickly here. They are back. So while I have everybody here, we're going to start this thing. 3, 2, 1. Let's start this lobby up, fire it up, and get into the game. Good luck, have fun, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic time, regardless of where you place. We're just here first and foremost to have some fun. Yes, the prizes are nice, but this is one of the few times where we actually get a true match-made lobby. I just want the perfect opportunity to showcase all of your skills and all of your Illuvials here on the field. So I'm looking forward to this one. Lynx League gonna start off the show. Looks like everybody has connected, so we'll get into the swing of things in just a second. There we go. Sota playing full air. That would be a rather surprising thing. It's either rogues or, I mean, Sota's also been kind of working on a corner comp of sorts, Wildfire-esque kind of style, I do believe. So I'm going to be interested to see that as well. And thanks for doing this. My absolute pleasure. This has been an absolute blast so far, and I'm glad that everybody's enjoying it at the same time. Let's get into our very first game of the day here in the Illuvium Lynx League for House League, or the Illuvium Arena House League in the Lynx League. One of the two. You know what I'm talking about. Let's get on in. We've got a full lobby here in the Lynx League with our region this time by being Shard Bluff, where players basically a nice and easy one where their components here on Shard Bluff are just going to be given to them. Usually it's a one red, one red, one blue, and one yellow, and essentially just lets you jumpstart your augment economy just that much better, get a little bit more stronger, or stronger much quicker, like we do see here with Gat. That leg spike kind of scared me there for a little bit here, but if we take a look at Gat's Lynx, for example, here, just level 45 Lynx does already have the Restorating Impact Reactor, has Charge Force already, and just being able to even have a couple of extra ones thanks to Shard Bluff. But of course, let's actually, as this battle does end up going on through, let's take a look and see our players here in this lobby. Of course, Gatling is currently the only one in the Lynx League with 2 wins in the series. Looking for win number 3, potentially, but this is a very, very stacked lobby. We'll have to see how it ends up going. We've got Zico Perico. We've got Illuvium Hunter here for, I believe, their first House League. We've got Teloolah from Bond. We've got KaioteeHYPE. And we've got ZejaqWildfire, Aposium, and last but not least, going to be Linkky, who we see competing right here, right now. Unfortunately, it's going to immediately get stunned out here by this Kuka, and it's just going to hold them in place so they can't fly again. Linkky going to take a tiny little bit of damage, but not too bad. Sota's going to play rogues. I think that's to the absolute surprise of nobody. But let's see if there's any sort of surprises in regards to the weapons getting selected here this time by. Let's take a look starting from the top. We've got Gat with that Sylphid Blade. That's going to be the Water Fighter weapon. We've got 2 of these Ember Bucklers, one going over to KaioteeHYPE and one going over to Illuvium Hunter. ZejaqWildfire going to be picking up the Lava Gauntlet. It could potentially go for some Wildfire, would be absolutely on brand. Zico Perico going to be playing some rogues, it looks like this time. That's going to be the Quake Maulers getting picked up by them. Aposium's also going to be picking up that Sylphid Blade for the Water Fighter kind of style. Linkky going to have some rogues here as well. Got that Tidal Shiv, that Water Rogue weapon. And last but not least, it's going to be Teloolah picking up the Sprout Guard. It may look like a shield, but of course that is actually a Scion weapon. Kind of lets you build for those spellcasters, but have at least your ranger as somewhat of a tank. There's a battle between our top 2, but KaioteeHYPE is going to be able to get the better of Gat so far in this one. And let's take a look at one of the players that we're seeing here for the first time, Aposium. Whether this is a player that potentially changed their name, or this is the first time that I've ever seen them in competition. They're brand new to me, so I'm very excited to see how they end up throwing down here with these Lynxes. We've got the one that's actually level 40, so not too shabby. A pretty nice one at that. But a lot of these augments, actually, unfortunately here for Aposium, they all went on to the level 1. So I'm sure they're kind of kicking themselves at least a little bit, but optimally you want your augments onto the Illuvial that has the better stats, but that's not going to stop them at all from taking this win. Going to be able to take care of ZejaqWildfire this time by. So we take a look at maybe some of their tank line. Not a bad little heady, a nice defensively sound one at that. So Aposium, it may be the first time that I'm seeing ya, but so far so good. Keep it up. Meanwhile, I've run into them a few times on ranked, but don't get to see them too often. Of course, that's going to be Zejaq from Wildfire. You see him going up against Aposium right here, right now, relying a lot more on tier 0s to kind of get things started, but at least unlike a handful of players, they do have their own tier 0s, so they're already set and good to go. A level 40 Lynx as well does have that additional tessellating Omega Reactor as well for that additional energy regen on every single attack, and of course, the Scything Claws coming out there from the Lynx, getting that pure damage. You want to get those out as fast as possible and get as many of them as you can in these fights. Though we're going to see Aposium. I mean, it's a 3-on-1, but that Flish has a ton of HP still. Takes 1, takes 2, but the Penguin is going to be left alone. This level 40 Penguin, a beautiful Penguin at that there, coming out here from Aposium, is going to be able to take the win here on Zejaq, but that was a very close fight, all things considered. Let's hop on here with the lobby leader as we take a look at our economy breakdown here on this NPC round. Zejaq completely content with essentially spending as little as possible and just getting as much economy, much credits as possible. Same thing here with Teloolah, it looks like. Both of them still in the 50s. ZejaqWildfire right around there as well, especially once this round finishes up and all these extra credits can come on through. But who's been spending heavily? It's actually been Linkky, who's been spending quite considerably here. Let's take a look and see what happens here with Linkky and ZejaqWildfire. An interesting early pickup coming up here for Linkky as well. The tier 5, the foe, is here, and it is going to be able to do, in theory, a ton of damage given those stats. But the thing is this foe, it is level 24, so it's still a mere hatchling compared to some of the other foes that we've seen on the battlefield. That's okay. It was some perfect competitive experience here coming out for this foe. Looking forward to seeing how it can end up doing. Going up against ZejaqWildfire, who does have a rather nasty T-Ruro ready to go. And of course, that T-Ruro, it may not necessarily have an Omega in regards to like a big ability, but what it does have is innate burst damage right off the rip for a few extra seconds. So if it gets onto the right targets, it could be painful. Like, I don't know, maybe jumping onto your fighter that happens to be the big carry. So that T-Ruro did pretty good work, but the rest of the team coming out here from Linkky did a fantastic job of just swarming down that T-Ruro in the end. And that is going to be a big win here for Linkky. ZejaqWildfire getting knocked down a little bit, but not too threatened, at least not as of yet. Let's take a look at the economy while we wait for our next round here. So ZejaqWildfire going to be loaded up with, did have at least max economy at one point. ZejaqWildfire max economy here as well, but I think that's basically it. Teloolah max economy here. We're starting to really see Dust actually coming on through, or Dust Enchanter style. I definitely like that. But the matchup we're going to watch right here, right now, because I don't think I've gotten the opportunity to really take a look at Illuvium Hunter. Let's take a look at them here on the green side. We've got Linkky once again going to be coming on through, but see, we've got both of these Lynxes, level 22 and level 29, so some rather young Lynxes, but they do have at least a little bit of experience on them. Let's see what they can do, but actually Illuvium Hunter, that foe just essentially got taken down to half, and then the rest of the team just swarmed and protected the carry, so to speak. Took them down rather heavily, so a big win there for Linkky. ZejaqWildfire going to take another hit, it looks like. I imagine slowly but surely need to pull the trigger as to what kind of composition we're going for. 91 credits in the bank. Let's take a look down at the bottom here. We got actually the battle of the two players down towards the bottom as of right now. But again, it's all for the economy-based play. They were very, and still are very well off as of this moment. let's take a look at Teloolah. We've got Teloolah in the green. I was just talking before about how they have an Enchanter style going on. And sure enough, it's going to be Dust Enchanter. So being able to combine there with this Winx to link up and then essentially allow this Cuckaloose to quarterback this entire team as long as they can stay relatively safely. And then you do have the Revo coming on through here, level 50 Revo. So this thing's been around the block definitely a time or two. So the Ranger and the Revo just going to be spitting dust everywhere. The Cuckaloose is going to end up falling, but we still do see ZejaqWildfire's Rogues hanging on for a little bit. Good shot there from the Revo to take down one. It's all down to the T-Rio, and it is going to be taken down. So Taloolah's Dust Squad coming on through. Looking rather nice, but now it's going to put a little pressure here onto ZejaqWildfire, considering they've now broken that 50 point. I imagine there has to be a play coming up sometime soon. Of course, the Ranger weapon that ZejaqWildfire did end up going for is that Quake Mauler. So you want to be playing some sort of rogue, so eventually you want to hit that level 7 and essentially start rolling like a madman trying to get Penguin. And as of this moment, there's actually no major contest for the slap-in. There is the one from Aposium, but that's just it. It's just the one. So unlike a traditional ranked game where you see lots of people like hard focusing Slash-in or hard focusing Jotun, we're not quite at that spot here. Now let's see if ZejaqWildfire can stop the bleeding. Going up against Zejaq from Wildfire to try and get this one done. Both teams going to be running rogues. So while there may not have been necessarily much contest, there is at least a bunch of rogues all over the place. That Gorilla zipping around all over the place here from ZejaqWildfire, doing a damn good job. But there's that Fernite in the background. This is going to be a tough one. Level 47 versus 3, but there's just too much burst damage. Not to mention the full crit coming out here from ZejaqWildfire now alongside the Predator buff. That might be a strong Fern, but that is still going to be a very tough battle to have to take on. I'll be curious to see what happens here with Zejaq from Wildfire as well, because while they do have rogue-based equipment, at least in regards to the Vinebound Cleaver, and a couple of their first additional Illuvials, by having the Railu as well as the Fernite, this also screams Templar. So I don't know if they're trying to pull off some sort of rogue-based Templar style. But maybe it could very well turn around, but I'm just curious as to then where your power spike ends up being. Does the Fernite end up being the power spike, where you just have so much damage with rogues, but yet it doesn't, like, it's not the end all be all because you have a little backline consistency with the Fernite. I'm curious if that's the way it's going to go. We'll have to see. Don't got too much time to be able to pull it off, but not done, not just yet. But everybody, in theory, is going to be super rich this time by. Going to keep this open so we can see what ends up getting picked up. Matu online here from Gat, so a nice big tank, a Scion tank coming on through there. Aposium with the Riptorus going to be coming on through, so the Toxic Berserker is getting set up, but probably not set completely yet. Currently set as a Toxic Behemoth, but Behemoth wouldn't be online. Another Railu online there for Illuvium Hunter. In fact, we'll stick with this one here, Illuvium Hunter versus ZejaqWildfire. See how it goes, but in terms of this fight at hand, we do now have Vanguard online. Now that we see that Stabbin coming on through here for Illuvium Hunter. It does have that Predator buff as well, but these are 7 rogues, so this round is probably going to be done really damn quickly, because Vanguards, they tend to burst through tanks like it's nobody's business. It's not the old Vanguards from the past patch. It's a little bit crazier. But on the contrary, we do have the 3 Predator buff. Can maybe this Gorilla get that final shot on the Slash-in or to stab? And they do, but they're not going to be able to pick off the Lynx and the Ranger. So ZejaqWildfire going to get knocked down. Not the kill shot yet, but still in a very, very scary spot. Our top 2 are actually battling it out, it looks like, as well. We're going to catch at the very, very last second. KaioteeHYPE looks like they're in control so far. I don't think I've seen either KaioteeHYPE or Gat 2 recently, so let's take a look and see what's going on here with our leader. Actually, in this instance, we do see, are we racking them up like a pool table? Because that's kind of what it looks like right here for KaioteeHYPE. This is just a Bulwark, Empath, and Scion kind of mix, but instead of having some sort of backline based Scion, the only Scion here is actually the Ace. Just about level 40 on that one as well, so can pack a decent punch if it finds a good angle. But Zejaq does have this beautiful level 50 TB Ruko, so it's going to have damage, and they're trying to build this thing like a tank as well. That could actually be kind of scary. Let's see how this one ends up going. The Axon's going to be able to scoop up this TB Ruko relatively quickly. Now here comes the Ace to dive on through, maybe mess up that TB Ruko cub a little bit longer. The bonus damage coming out from the TB Ruko has been completely mitigated by that Axon. It held its line so good, but now that that fell, it is now going to be down to the Carablu as well as the Ador. Just the consistent damage from the backline, I think, was just enough to really get that done. Actually, didn't necessarily get a peek of it before that ended up disappearing, but very good so far. Very good. Let's go take a look at Aposium. What are they cooking up here? Of course, they do have this Riptorus that's actually got the Rogue augment onto it, or the imprint, to dive in with the Stabbin. So that's kind of scary. Berserker, and not only a this is Toxic Berserker now, and it is in-your-face dive Toxic Berserker. On the contrary, though, again here, for ZejaqWildfire, second time we're going to see them in a row, just keeping an eye on that TB Ruko. It immediately dismantles that poor mule. But can the little Riptor stay alive here for Aposium? That's going to be huge in determining this. But nope, the TB Ruko, as well as that Vermilio, just kind of teamed up for a beautiful 1-2 punch. And that's going to put Aposium, I believe, down within kill shot now. Maybe, maybe not. It might be still too early for that, but they are definitely in a dangerous position. Even more so dangerous considering they now have to go up against the lobby leader. So we'll take a look at Aposium one more time here and see how they do versus KaioteeHYPE. KaioteeHYPE did pick up the Flood, so a nice tanky additional healer as well. Try and join this fight, trying to see if there's any sort of upgrades that could potentially be coming on the board. I just see a Allura kind of hanging here on the bench here for Aposium, but it's not going to be actually put onto the board, it looks like. Seiko Perico going to all in on economy as well. We're going to take a look at that in just a moment's time, but let's see if Aposium can hang on for just a little bit longer. That Riptorus hasn't been touched really so far. It's in a pretty decent spot, but when does the other Illuvials turn on it? That answer is right here, right now, and as soon as that happens, that just gets so scary to try and deal with. Aposium, are you out of here? Nope, not yet. Still going to be in the fight. Couple people in tough positions here. I was just talking about before how Seiko Perico spent everything to try and land. I would imagine it being the Stabbin. Let me take a look and see. Actually, no, maybe they're looking for Malura, and they were so damn close from being able to do so. But now down to 9 credits. Thankfully, there's an NPC round here to slow down the bleeding and catch up a little bit. Let's see, ZejaqWildfire from Wildfire also did end up picking up this Archelian here as well. Beefy little fella with maxed out Omega power, does its job exactly as it needs to. But what about everybody else? There's a handful of players that are still looking very good. Even Aposium on death's door here, but with plenty of credits still to their name. Slashin did just show up, and it's on the team of Illuvium Hunter. So for these players contesting rogues, that's going to make things very miserable. I think it is possible to get 2 tier 3s all the way up to its final evolution in one game. However, it is so difficult to actually do. Aforus is a nice little find here for Aposium as they go up against Teloolah, who's taken this into an Arcanite style, Inferno Arcanite kind of style, and pivoted away from the dust. So they actually got rid of the Sprout Guard and picked up the Boomerang instead. A nice little change up. Try and switch things up. ZejaqWildfire just got Shock online as well. So a lot of crazy teams starting to get built up here. But let's take a look at this here. Aposium, can they hang on? Going up against Teloolah, who's currently second in this lobby. Aposium does have that Toxic and Bloom, so the longer this fight goes, the better. However, going up against Toloolah's Fire and Inferno, the last thing they want is a fight to go long. They just want as much damage as possible. It's all up to the Arctase and then this Furiox that we see in the corner. The Riptorus is going to go down. The Furiox is going to barely get taken down. Aposium is not going to let their debut here on the Illuvium Arena House League go down that quickly. They will stay alive, sitting here still with 9 HP. But now they have to go up against Gat, who's been having a little bit of a hard time for themselves as well. But that is a pretty nice pickup. A beautiful Mamu to potentially throw some Illuvials into some big clumps and get some massive stuns. Could absolutely swing the fight. Also going to be trying their damnedest to protect this Furiox. Level 51 has basically all of the augments that you would potentially want, including, it's not necessarily perfect for this matchup in particular, but having that disruptive force reactor when you see players like Teloolah building a ton of air, that's not a bad idea in the slightest, so it's good to see. But let's see if Aposium can hang on one more time. Again, that Mamu is going to be so hard to try and deal with. The fighters are going to pair up. The Stabbin's going to dive on through, goes invulnerable for the first couple of seconds thanks to that drone augment. But the Stabbin is being focused pretty quickly. It does look like it's been taunted. It's been taken down. So those are a lot of augments off. A big shot's coming out here from the Mammoth. That stunned the damn well entire team. A valiant effort. But that will be the win there for Gats, knocking Aposium out of here with Linkky short to follow. Good games, everybody. I hope you had fun nonetheless. And hope to see you again sometime soon. See, the rest of these ones, our top two are actually battling it out here as well. And this is kind of the game style that I was really pushing for. If we look at these health bars, nobody is dominating this game right now. The player in first has 43 HP. That is kind of crazy. Now we got this C-Gat once. Let's see if we could see them here again up against Teloolah. I don't know if this is going to be enough. This is within range. If this is a bad loss here for Teloolah, that could very well be the end of things. Gat has spent everything in the bank. They are one away from getting a Blotto. That is absolutely heartbreaking. Do they opt to maybe go and get rid of it and go for a final roll? I'm not 100% sure. I don't think they're going to give it up. They're going to try and make this work. Teloolah and the other side does have that Furiox ready to go, paired up with the Ranger. It's going to be doing a ton of damage, getting that Mammoth down pretty high. But look at the big burst damage once again, pairing up that Mammoth shunt with the Ace to actually get some serious damage in. But a lot of high DPS coming out here from Gat is making things look difficult. That's 4 Illuvials off the board, but Teloolah will not be eliminated. Not at all, not just yet. It was a big hit, but not done. 6 players still left in the game, and we have nobody higher than 39 HP. This is hella close. Absolutely loving this right now here in this Arena House League match. And we very well could see, with it being round 21, depending on how the battle goes, either of these players could be knocked out. Both of them kind of have a similar game plan, though, and you've got the shock coming out here from Zejaq. They have, instead of Wildfire, it's going for shock, or they're going for shock apparently. A mixture of all sorts of offense with shock. So a team that wants the battle to be done very quickly, but yet they also have Archelion. So we'll have to see how this ends up going. Teloolah is going to be able to just essentially face tank this TB Ruko for a good while also letting that Rampite do some serious damage. But actually the Archelion did a pretty good job of keeping everybody pretty well topped off. But the foe and the rest of the gang have just kind of come on through big time. Zejaq will be taken down. A valiant effort for your first House League. A 6th place finish. And GG's, of course, Zejaq. Thank you for playing. I hope to see you again sometime soon. That was definitely a polarizing battle with both teams completely dead set on just doing as much damage as fast as you can. And apparently the Fire plus Inferno was a little bit tougher to deal with compared to having the shock style with your fire as well. So unfortunately there for Zejaq, but Teloolah is going to hang on by a thread, has made it on into the top 5 as we take a look at our current landscape of this entire battlefield, of this entire lobby. Zico Perico leading the charge with 38 HP, does have the Malura now online. So it took them a little bit, but they're able to find it nonetheless, while also having some augments onto that. And then you still have the Stabbin, because of course the player in second, it's Illuvium Hunter, who happens to have the slash in, and it does have a bunch of augments on top of it, and they're going to get a bunch more potentially here as well. KaioteeHYPE happens to have a firing line of Scions apparently in this one. Let's take a look at this, because I imagine regardless of which way it goes, somebody could be knocked out. Well, that was versus a ghost, actually. Gat is going up against Zico Perico. I mean, this could potentially be a knockout. This is weird. We're going to have 3 Sinolfs on this battlefield. We have the 2 coming out here from KaioteeHYPE. Unfortunately, this one just didn't have any Omega power. This one's not too bad, at least. But how about on the other side? I mean, this is a fully offensive one, but only 33. This is going to get chaotic. We're going to see water blasts all over the place. But the thing is, compared to what KaioteeHYPE's running here, where they have the Scions as the main damage source, on the other side, we see the Sinolf coming on through to be support for the Slash-In. So I'm very scared to see how this one ends up going. Beautiful shot right down the middle. It could not get any better, I think, there for the right side. Can Illuvium Hunter hang on for a little bit longer? There's some low health bars here for Coyote. The Slash-In, it's been focused, it's been targeted, shots fired, it does take down, but you still have the Rake. The Rake is here doing some pretty considerable damage here onto the Illuvials on the bottom side. AC 130 above, going to take down that TNT in the corner. There goes the Sinolf, a 3-on-2, but the Rake, I mean, we've seen this before. We've watched Illuvium Pro League. We've seen that numbers don't matter versus an Umber, but this Umber cannot go untargetable, but it does not matter. It turns it around. The double restorating impact reactors is going to be enough to win. And with that, we lose many. KaioteeHYPE in third, Gat going to be in fourth, Teloolah in fifth. So we lost plenty, and now we're down to some heads-up final Illuvium here, with both players with nothing left in the tank. No potential upgrades close for that credits. That's absolutely incredible. We do see the potential Titan ore being set up here on the side, or Zico Perico, I believe it was. Yes. Again, that Malura as well. It's a nice one. It's fully decked out. Bunch of levels on that as well, but it doesn't necessarily have a bunker to truly dive into because the Sinolf is actually going to face tank the Goliath. That is a very faulty strategy. I don't think it worked out for them, considering the Malura came in and just helped with that big assist. Things are looking good here for Zico Perico, but a good shot to their backline from the one ramp fight to the other. Now they're going to converge in the middle. Right now, it looks like Zico Perico has the numbers game intact. Good little disruption there from the Malura. Is going to hold that Rake just a little bit longer. Can it find the elimination and heal? It is not going to be able to in the slightest. And with that, that is going to be it. And that is going to be Zico Perico taking our Lynx League matchup here for today's Illuvium House League. GG's, everybody. Awesome game once again, everybody, and congratulations to our top three who score the prizing here in this matchup, with Zico Perico taking the win. Illuvium Hunter going to be picking up second for their first Arena House League. That's a hell of a run. Nicely done there. And then KaioteeHYPE going to wrap up the podium with this heavy Scion style. Just unfortunately could not get a couple of those Omegas to come through from the Scions to take out that Rake. The damn thing kept healing. We've watched enough Illuvium Pro League to see where this goes, and it just was essentially unstoppable. Gatling gonna round up in fourth, Teloolah fifth. We have Zejaq in sixth, Linkky in seventh, and Aposium in seventh. But one thing we could say off of that first game is that, holy smokes, rogues were kind of popular, right? So with three players going for it, and this is a thing that not a lot of people have had, I feel like, the opportunity, especially some of our newer players, to a competitive scene. Of course, this is more so fun competitive and not truly like super competitive. But there could be teams that are super strong, borderline, if not overpowered. But the problem is if everybody's going for that team, they hinder each other so much that essentially nobody or one person gets it and the other two die. And we kind of saw that a little bit with everybody chasing Malura and chasing Slash-In. Illuvium Hunter got the Slash-In, but by taking so long to try and get that damn Slash-In, it let Zico Perico get the time necessary to get into there, or get their team kind of built up. They instead went for like a heavy Malura style, but it still just kind of ended up working out. It was cool to see. GG's once again, everybody. I hope you had a great time. And of course, all things prizing will be distributed over the weekend for the starter decks. Monday we'll do the auto drone runs, and then in terms of the Illuvium Beyond prizing, that comes out early next week as well. Was fun. I'm glad. I'm very thankful to hear that. Let's get our Monarch Masters going. Ooh. So for Monarch Masters today, Bondaddyratty, ZejaqWildfire, Dr. Spoon, KaioteeHYPE, Squawk, or aka in this instance, Mojo Jojo, Diefet, Wolverine, and last but not least, Axel from Apex. Just pinged you here in the Discord. The code is now there. Let's get this lobby up and built. All right, I see Diefet, I see Wolverine, I see Slicks. Hop on in here in just a moment's time. No, but I'm glad to hear that even those, if they did happen to get knocked out early, they're still having a fun time. That's what it's all about. I'm super, super thankful. All right, we got a bunch of our Monarch Masters. We have a full lobby ready to go. Let me give the ping in the Discord to let them know. Y'all were nice and fast, and I thank you for that. Let me start this thing before somebody disappears. And one of the things that I did just discover that I could potentially do in the future, as a part of the IPL helper tool that I do have, I can make custom matches with no stats whatsoever. While I know that majority of us have our own Illuvials here, maybe not as a house league, maybe as a one-off event? Do I maybe try to do a purely like non-NFT based tournament? It wouldn't stop House League, it'd just be a separate thing. Maybe on a weekend? Maybe it might be a way to go. But House League being your own Illuvials is something I never want to stop. That's a first and foremost. I absolutely love that. All right, here we go. Our next matchup coming on through in just a moment's time. Let's get into the swing of things here with our second matchup of the day here in the Illuvium Arena House League. This one is in the Monarch Masters division. Some of our top players, we're seeing Illuvium Pro League players maybe make a return here, and it is going to be absolutely incredible. As we take a look at our players here on the right-hand side, a couple of events IPL winner here for KaioteeHYPE. Joining us here in House League, the Illuvium Pro League runner-up, ZejaqWildfire in this lobby. Their first time here in Illuvium Arena House League. Then we've got Diefet, Axel, Apex, and I believe Bondaddyratty all looking for their first wins. Let me double check that and cheat for a second. Yeah, looking for their first wins here in the House League. Meanwhile, Dr. Spoon looking to be the first three-time winner of any House League division, let alone a three-time winner here in the Monarch Masters division. Would be an absolute incredible feat there if they could pull that one off. And we got Wolverine 777 Hype, who has won a match in the Lynx League before, but has been bumped up here today into the Monarch Masters. And last but not least, we've got Squawk, who happens to be, again, an Illuvium House League winner here in the Monarch Masters. They have changed their tag, though, to Mojo Jojo. So moving forward, I'm going to be calling them as Mojo Jojo. But Just remember, for the sake of, I guess, bookkeeping, that this was the same player that also went by Squawk. Region-wise, this time by, we're at Crimson Waste, but we're not going to be taking more damage in the traditional sense that we see here from Crimson Waste. Usually, we're all just going to be starting at level 3, so getting that early Illuvial economy coming on through potentially here, as we do see Sota versus ZejaqWildfire to start things off. Let's watch this battle unfold while we also pull up the weapons and see what everybody's picking up here so far. We'll have to see if Sota is a liar, because in our chat here for the stream, they said they were going to go rogues. And I tell you what, when I see someone say they're going for rogues and they have a Sylphid Blade, I am feeling kind of sus. So we'll have to see how that one ends up going. Sota slowly but surely going to be whittling down ZejaqWildfire's squad here, and end up taking the win there. And we do have Axel from Apex going to be picking up the Shadow Maul. That's your Earth Empath weapon. Bondaddyratty got the Boomerang ready to go, the Firefighter weapon. Mojo Jojo here with the Tidal Shiv Water Rogue weapon. Dr. Spoon, I mean, they love their nature and they are set up rather nicely. Picking up that Grove Sword, Nature Fighter weapon. Slicks with the Ember Bastion, that's going to be the Earth Bulwark weapon coming on through. ZejaqWildfire's got the Emberling Rod. My precious is going to be here in the hands of ZejaqWildfire. Let's see how it works this time by. And then last but not least, Wolverine is also going to be using the Shadow Maul. And that's the thing, like, I can't even necessarily predict exactly what everybody's going for, because again, we're still in day 2 of a brand new balance patch. So exactly which teams are the strongest as of right now can absolutely be debated extremely heavily. I think the general consensus is that people understand that Slash and Vanguards, they're good. But what else is good? Is anything else on the same platform? Are there team compositions that are close? Through the rest of the ranked battles, as well as here in House League, maybe we'll start discovering some things here together. Slowly but surely over time. And a Lynx check. Let's see how many Lynxes do we have on the board. That is quite a few. It looks like a Tetris block here on my screen right now. But everybody is picking up a Lynx. Just that early game firepower is so hard to actually give up. As we do see, that's not a slapping I'm looking for. It's this little Lynx right here right now. Level 56, going to be swarmed down, taken down rather nicely. But unfortunately here for Bondaddyratty, the rest of the squad here from Sota going to be here to clean up. Now what I want to do, let's double check and see what we have. A Nature Fighter Lynx is potentially the way to go. So it's going to be a Relentless Floor Lynx. Could be something that comes on through. We have not seen it yet so far. Lynx League did not have any Lynxes appropriately enough. But one team composition that would fit into rather nicely would be Dr. Spoon's. Considering they're already going for what looks like a heavy nature style, the fact that they've already got the Relentless Lynx, it's going to be a nature Lynx as well. A lot of things are adding up, and this could be potentially the perfect situation here for Dr. Spoon to get an early game power spike if they could find that Lynx. But they're not the only one going for it. It looks like Axel from Apex also does have the Lynx online. A beautiful Relentless Lynx here as well. Just missing little resistances, so not too shabby. Relying really heavily on the Lynx, and then this little mule to potentially be doing some DPS here and get some eliminations. Let's take a look at Mojo Jojo. They're going up against Dr. Spoon, ZejaqWildfire, and Slicks. Let's take a look at this one. Slicks, what are you up to? You had picked up the Ember Bastion, and that's one way to do it. Already having the Archos online means that Aegis is afoot here, and is specifically with the Ember Bastion as well. You're going to hurt early in terms of your perfect synergies, but if you could hang on and get to the later levels and start getting a Phorus or a Phosphorus, and you Aegis buff that and have Blue Magus, that is a beautiful composition that could definitely shred any composition as long as the Phosphorus doesn't get too focused, which of course thankfully due to the Aegis you do give some of your tankiness away. What is going on with this Lynx here? It is just sitting around waiting to actually get into the fight. Just kind of got trapped, it looked like. Of course, it's a little bit misleading because the Lynx's actual hitbox, or how much space it takes on the battle board, is actually surprisingly big. It doesn't necessarily match the model too much here. Like, you kind of see the flashing here in the top left-hand corner. just how much space that Lynx actually takes. So there are many times where it looks like a Lynx could squeak in, but nope, it actually cannot. Mojo Jojo versus Slicks. How about, who haven't we seen in a while? Axel Soto? Let's see how we're doing here, Axel. It called out the fact that you had a Lynx as well, potentially building another. And Soto, again, completely unbonded right now, but let's see if the squad just has enough raw firepower as is. We're just relying on this normal Lynx to really get the job done. But look at this greater Monkier coming on out here. For the side of Axel, doing some decent DPS. That phase breaker is going to save its bacon as well. It's going to eventually get turned on, but then, sure enough, there it goes. That will take down, or that'll be Axel rather, getting the win here in this one. When Amazon calls in the middle of the match, we still keep casting. Thankfully, Wifey's got that one, so we're all good. But let's take a look down towards the bottom. I think we saw Soda once again trying to get a different mix-up of players this time. Mojo Jojo going to be completely loaded up in terms of their economy. Interest levels completely where they would want it to be. They do have the TNT on board, but it's kind of going against what I imagine they're trying to do here. Let's see how it goes. A little bit of rogue action going towards that top side, going towards Sota. Can the Tiruro help that Lynx potentially get some burst damage, get some Illuvials off the board and turn this around? But it's actually a very, very even fight. That Lynx is still there. It does have the restorating impact reactor. And now that the bonus damage from the Tiruro has worn off, one more Scything Claw, and that shall do the damage necessary. Mojo Jojo going to stop the bleeding and stop the win streak here for ZejaqWildfire. Let's ride along with Mojo Jojo one more time. They're going up against Zyfet. I want to see what's going on here. Poke this up here as well. See what everybody's upgrading as of this moment. Lix is so rich right now. What are they sitting on? They're going to level up the Fix. They do put the Railu onto the board, it looks like, as well. Considering they were focused on Aegis, that would be one way to do it. But they made the switch to the Emberling Rod, it looks like. So that's no longer going to be a thing. And just look at how much nature we have all over the place here across these weapon selections. Nature, Earth, and then the only difference maker here is Bondaddyratty. Still going to be playing a fighter style, but not going to opt for the Boomerang. Just instead going to go Galewind Bow, which would definitely open the door for some potential Polar Bear shenanigans later on down the road. But let's get a better angle here on this Mojo Jojo versus Zyfet fight. Trying to break through these empaths can be extremely difficult, especially when you have that app on just kind of holding the line at level 61 at that. So it is an absolute beautiful, beautiful defensive support of Illuvial. And Zyfet going to be able to take this one, essentially making it so that Mojo Jojo just jumped into a brick wall. NPC round, let's take a look and see what our economy looks like here. Dr. Spoon leading the charge, but also having so much, or so many credits, it's not even funny. Had about 91, now down to 88, but sitting very pretty. Slick's short to follow as well. That Emberling Rod does have a fiery there now to potentially start building maybe a little bit of a bunker composition around that fiery. Sota does have rogues now. They got their weapon that they were looking for. Go for some classic Verdant Vanguard potentially, since they do have the Cling now. And now it's just a matter of getting Penguin and getting Malura and just running away with the game with that. Of course, you do have to find the Twine as well, but at least the Twine, it's just a stage 2, just the evolution, right? So it's not too difficult to try and get. Zyfet has, again, a lot of toxic, but whether it's a bunker or whether it's just a frontline team, has a little bit of flexibility. We've got Axel and Mojo Jojo coming up next here in our next battle. We'll let this one go on through because Mojo Jojo also picked up the Verdant Vanguard. They will have both of those online as well, since of course Stabin is the first one you can get that actually has Vanguard. Works up rather nicely, but on the other side, Axel does have 5 fighters, does have Templar, and if I remember one thing from back in the Illuvium Pro League days, is that one of the ways that you try to deal with Verdant Vanguard is, well, fighters. So we'll have to see if maybe some of that still bleeds true here in this battle with Axel. Right now, a lot of damage going towards that red side, but the big fighters are still in this game, as well as that stab, and it's going to be able to jump onto that Greater Monk here. The Phase Breaker does give it a bit of breathing room, but nowhere near enough. Just some classic Verdant Vanguard coming on out here from Mojo Jojo, going to take the win there over Axel this time by. And then Wolverine, I imagine this has to be some sort of Mystic play, right? Yeah, it does look like they're going for Granite Mystic. They do have the TNT there. So they're going to be able to get some additional invulnerability at the start of the rounds. But what about firepower? I mean, they've got firepower. They've got the Revo. They've got Grilla. You've got the Predator combo. So there are definitely options, but it's looking rather difficult here. Let's ride along here with Wolverine, actually, for this one and see what's going on. Going up against Zyfet, who has like a half bunker kind of coming on through, where everybody on the right-hand side, of course, is going to be tucked in and all careful and nice. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, you've also got this Riptorus who's ready to go nuts. So pick your poison or pick your toxin in this instance here, apparently. As we then do, of course, have Wolverine here in the green. First time we're going to be following them. They have already gotten a Goliath. That is actually kind of crazy, considering I believe Wolverine's level 7. So a very early Goliath, a relatively early Fernite coming on through as well. But the one irritating thing here for Wolverine is that, of course, Fernite doesn't actually stop or slow down attack speed anymore. So even though it's going to be able to hit that Furiox here and there, it's not going to actually slow it down at all. But one thing that might slow it down is just completely taking it out. If it can pair up here with this Grilla going to dive on through, but of course it always targets the furthest Illuvial away. So the Grilla's going to dive right out of dodge, right before it actually takes out the Furiox. It is essentially going to be a backline battle between the two as soon as its Axon goes down, but this Axon just held the line for so damn long, and it gets one more shield. Is it going to get one more Restorating Impact Reactor proc? It does, bringing it back to about a quarter HP. It's finally going to go down, but these Emeralding Rod shots are also going to be dangerous. Machine Gun Fury versus Furiox, actually 2-on-1. Could Wolverine pull this around? I think they're going to be able to just barely do it. What a back and forth fight, my goodness. And there we go. There's the upgrade that Wolverine was looking for. Furiox online. You've got the double resonating pulse reactor where you're just basically getting a bunch of attack speed every single time you Omega. The thing is that battle, that kind of team composition goes better the longer the fight goes. Especially when you have the Fernite here to boost your attack speed. It can get really crazy. That's where you get the meme of the Machine Gun Furiox. However, one team that's not going to let you even breathe is going to be, of course, this Rogue Vanguard style coming out here from Mojo Jojo. Stabbing right where they need to be, directly on top of that Goliath, bringing it down to half extremely quickly. The Verdant has been procced there from the Twine on the other side. From Mojo Jojo does go down, so these rogues in the middle are going to be able to heal for at least a little bit. The Ranger's going to provide healing here to the Stabbin as well, but the Furiox has it locked in. Can it get the DPS done in time? Nope, not even close. Pengu, this thing isn't even fully evolved, and it's two-tapping things. Oh dear God, Wolverine going to take a hard loss here this time by. Mojo Jojo's got this squad absolutely cooking right now. And Sota's going to be giving them pretty much the exact same thing, it looks like. Let me hop on over to Mojo Jojo. I want to take a look here and see. We saw how much damage that did. And before I start crying a little bit, patch 1.12 sympathy tears, the one thing I do have to say is that they did have the Echoing Force reactor. So this allows you to just stack more crit damage and more attack damage the more you get eliminations. So fair enough there that for why it was two-tapping things, but just to double check, I mean, that's a level 60 perfect stabbing too as well. I mean, I could try and cry OP, but this is just a very beautiful stabbing. Let's see it in action here one more time. So we do have Mojo Jojo versus Dr. Spoon, who's got the start and the remnants of their nature combo. They even have Berserker online, but I'm not 100% sure if they're going to be able to hold the line just yet. Not enough of a front line to keep that stabbing away, so that's going to be doing a ton of damage. Hell, even the Quinks is getting involved with some DPS. Normally, you don't see the Quinks do that much in terms of damage, but it has the Piercing Force Reactor for a little bit of extra HP drain, so to speak. And this, too, is looking to shape up like a relatively close game, with both Slicks and Sota at 77. Nobody's got a perfect game going. Nobody's dominating or anything along those lines. We do have some players definitely taking a bit of a beating so far. But no one running away with the game. And we have a very crazy mix in terms of economy. Dr. Spoon is the only one who's truly kept themselves at basically full interest. Mojo Jojo's not far behind, though. By the time this next round comes out, they too will be maxed out on economy, so that's going to be quite nice for them. Meanwhile, ZejaqWildfire down in the 50s, and then everybody else is like 35 or lower, or at least before that round came out. So they don't have that much to play with going into this next one. That's right along with ZejaqWildfire, as they're going to go up against Bondaddyratty. And it looks like Bondaddyratty, very similar in nature, has a literally perfect stab-in with the exact same augment combination. Maybe to those looking to pick up a build at home, maybe this is something you got to keep in mind. Getting the double restorating impact reactor plus the echoing force reactor is just a snowballing nightmare to try and deal with. ZejaqWildfire looking to try and make one quick move here. Does have the Axodon now, a rather beautiful one at that for a little additional tanking. Have both of the water tanks completely leveled up. Level 60, fully evolved. But in terms of composition, can it hold the line? 5 fighters and 4 rogues from Bondaddyratty coming to make their life difficult. And it's not just the stabbing either. You also have that rake up in the top corner trying to just do as much damage as possible. It's tag teaming here with the stabbing. There's just too much damage to actually even stop. ZejaqWildfire might be getting taken down here. The Axodon, it's like a huge crazy tank. That's not going to be enough. Big shot from the Ranger, Emberling Rod. Can you get one more shot? I don't think so. ZejaqWildfire with 1 HP is going to hang on just barely. And it's kind of crazy to see because the restorating impact reactors, this used to give you a 7% heal or 7% of your max health heal on every single takedown. They nerfed that down to 5. And yet it's still an absolute snowballing monster. At least so it seems. We have not necessarily cracked the code to be able to take someone down with it as of yet, or at least crack a penguin that happens to be set up nicely. Seeing here with ZejaqWildfire and Axel, one way or another, somebody's going home right here, right now. Everybody's spent basically everything they have left in the bank. One Archie away from having Archelion. That's definitely heartbreaking. Couple additional Illuvials come on fourth in the last couple of seconds to maybe try and get Tsunami, but the Flood is actually going to stop them in their tracks. It's not going to get picked up, so let's take a look here. Can the Axodon on the right-hand side just hold the line as best as possible? Good stun coming out from the Mammoth right before it does go down, but again, there's just so much damage coming out here from the red side here on Axel's squad, but you still have to deal with that back line. And so far, the Flood and the Apon are holding the line rather nicely. You still do have the Ranger as well, and when they clump up like this, we need an Emberling Rod shot, and we need it now. But the Fur Knight might have just stopped like 2 or 3 casts, and it's going to do it again, isn't it? Tornado right on through, but the cast didn't actually come on through. Emberling Rod, last ditch effort. Do they get one? They do end up getting one. Get the Rylu, but now the Lynx is here. The Lynx, there's another cast from the Rod as well. Can the Ranger clutch this up? One more shot, one-on-one with the Fur Knight, but it's actually going to be the overtime pulses that are going to shut things down. A valiant effort from ZejaqWildfire. That was so damn close, but they will get knocked out. The Fur Knight just had too much health going into that one, and they will end up falling. Quick economy check as we hop into this next one. We do see Bondaddyratty again, the next one within kill shot. And of course, before I hop into this as well, of course, good game, ZejaqWildfire. A valiant effort. I hope to see you again in the next one, and I hope you still had fun nonetheless. Yeah, so Bondaddyratty next to nothing in the tank. Where Soda's been really rocking this rogue style, not just now. They've been doing it for arguably years at this point. I might not even be lying to you in this instance. With both of these rogue teams diving on through, nobody getting the big super carry. They're all just kind of stuck on the tier or on the stage 2, the middle stage evolution of these penguins. Couple of different augment choices, though, making it so far looking good here for Sota. But Bondaddyratty's stabbing is still alive, and it does have the sustain option, but it cannot sustain through that. One good chunk of burst damage thanks to that gyro and the stabbing, I believe, teaming up. And that is going to be too little too late for Bondaddyratty to come on through and score a win this time by. So Bondaddyratty will be out in 7th. Of course, great games, great effort. Hope to see you again in the next one, Bondaddyratty, as well as Axel from Apex. They will also end up falling here. GG's, everybody. Potentially the next one to go would actually be our 2-time winner here in the Monarch Masters division, Dr. Spoon. 8 HP left to go. What do they have for economy? They've got literally nothing, and they are so close to having yet another Singe, it looks like. I don't think they have a Singe on the board, it looks like. So it's not going to be the Seer. But they're going up against the Ghost of Sota. Let's quickly hop on over to Wolverine, who's actually competing against Sota. We'll hop over to Dr. Spoon in just a second as well. But with a couple of these eliminations coming through, this is where things really get nasty. Sota has found the slash-in. Literally perfect slash-in. This is definitely going to be bringing me back 1.12 PTSD in just a moment's time as we watch this Penguin go absolutely bonkers on everybody. We've hit 10K super quickly as well, with the Polar Bear and the rest of these Illuvials in the back line to try and assist. Queen's just doing stun after stun as well. 20K, not going to be able to take out Wolverine, but it is going to take out Dr. Spoon. We will lose Spoon in 5th. GG's, Doc. Which means as we get to our next NPC round, we get to take a look at the fact that literally everybody has spent everything. Thank goodness there's an NPC round, otherwise nobody would be making any moves anytime soon here. Kind of crazy to see. But what we're also kind of seeing here, so Wolverine 777, again, they were in Lynx League in the last week. Moved up into the Monarch Masters, they're in the top 4. If this was a ranked game, that's it, you'd be in the positive. You'd be getting a positive rating, you'd be gaining some rating. But of course, you gotta get into that top 3 if you want to get into the prizing here in House League. And then we have the potential of crowning 2 new 2-time winners here in the Monarch Masters. If Mojo Jojo or ZejaqWildfire can win, it would be their 2nd win in the series. And then if Slicks can win, it would be their first try, and getting the job done. But I mean, I just kind of saw something kind of scary up here for Sota up in the top right corner. Malura is now online, so that is just even more vanguards towards Sota. They're going to be tough to beat, but let's take a look and see our match at hand here, where we have Mojo Jojo in the red up against Wolverine. Wolverine going to be the underdog based off of what we've seen so far in this day of games, as well as today's House League. Or for whatever reason, there's something about the Vanguards that just seem like they're on an absolute another level. Even though you've got that big, beefy fella, that Geyser in the back line. Can that potentially hold off this Penguin for a little bit? So far, okay, never mind. That thing just dropped like a flish. Not a chance in hell between the Stabbin and the Rake. Gonna completely shred on through. And the fact that that Stabbin has all that extra range, it's never gonna be targeted. And that's gonna be some huge damage coming on through that will knock out Wolverine, a valiant effort. But Wolverine shall fall in 4th. GG's, great run, Wolverine. Freaking Penguins, man. We do have everybody, for the most part, completely spent as well. The only one with a little bit of credits on the in the bank still is going to be ZejaqWildfire. They do have 21 left to go, so I imagine they're just going to kind of save that up for a little bit of additional leveling potentially sometime down the road. Mojo Jojo, if they do end up going down here, as we see them in the green, that very well could be it. But meanwhile, on the other side, Slicks, they're probably doing the best that I've seen so far for someone who has not relied on a Penguin. Let's see how it goes, and a lot of it has to do with this beautiful Scoriox coming on through. Can they get the download complete here on this Penguin, or will they also be completely cooked? We'll have to see in just a moment's time. Scoriox firing on 4, so far completely uncontested. The Penguin might be in a dangerous position, and actually Slicks, they just made the Rogues jump into a brick wall. finally someone has been able to stop these rogues, and who else but the Illuvium Pro League runner-up from last season to get the job done nicely. We will lose Mojo Jojo in third, a valiant effort, and GG's. But now this is the grand finals that honestly could have been the grand finals of a Illuvium Pro League event between, of course, the Hype Squad. If we remember back to that Illuvium Pro League season, there's many times where we've seen the final lobbies a little bit Hype favored, and I think they're kind of reminding us just why that was the case all of these times before. So let's see how it goes. Sota right in their comfort zone with that the Rogue Vanguard, a Burden Vanguard style, coming on through. Meanwhile, Slicks, they have the Magma here as well, so all of these rogues are fighting on Slicks's turf, but they have to survive still through all of this. Solid usage of the Verdant to be able to keep everybody alive so far, but how about the stab and how about the Malura? This is looking kind of scary, actually. As soon as Slashing gets its sights on that Scoriox, it's over, and that's going to be Sota one win away from getting their second win here in the Illuvium Arena House League. You've got experience and customs. I mean, cheers, enjoy it, but I don't think that was supposed to be a thing. Huh, interesting. One more final push. Could Sota find anything? Nothing left to upgrade. Slicks was one poor little flare away from being able to get a Seer, which would have been able to hold the line just a little bit longer. But let's take a look one more time. If Sota can win this one again, that'll be their second win here in the Illuvium Arena House League. And that ramp fight just got some serious damage down. It's going to go up again one more time. It did so much damage. The door has been opened, but that stabbing or the slashing does not look to be as safe as last time. The charge coming out here from the Quakes is just going to drag that Scoriox right into the death grasp of that slashing. And with that, it is over. It's not just about damage. You also got to thank your supports a little bit. And with that, for the second time here in the Monarch Masters, ZejaqWildfire has won. What a game once again here. Once again, GG's to everybody playing. I hope you had fun. That was an exciting matchup. Even with the amount of penguins we're seeing, it's still exciting. And it's definitely cool to see, especially for the rogue side of things, or for Sota rather, that their old squad, it's basically picking up where they left off. And they're able to pilot this thing to a very, very strong spot. I love the team coming out here from Slicks as well. It's some sort of sick and twisted coincidence that every time I cast Slicks, he ends up getting second. Slicks, I'm so sorry. But what I'm not sorry about is that you are still going to be getting some prizes here today. The top three, of course, make it into the prizing here this time by, which is going to be, of course, Sota taking the win, and Slicks getting second, Mojo Jojo getting third. So two Hype Squad members going to be getting some prizes here. Quite nice. And then Wolverine right there as well. Well, not bad. 3 out of the 4. 3 out of the 4 in the top 4 end up getting from Hype, so that's pretty sick. But of course, good games. And now, last but not least, we're gonna slow things down a little bit, but that's not gonna be a bad thing. Let's get this situated. For the next matchup, for the first time here on the Illuvium Arena House League, Carablu Cup. Definitely excited for this one as well. I'm excited for all the matches, of course, don't get me wrong. And I can never find Ethit's tag. My apologies, bear with me a second. This is why I always have everybody sign the form every single time, just so I can make sure that I get the right discords that I'm pinging. And we'll see how this one ends up going. So today, here in this Carablu Cup game, we do only have 4, but that's okay. We're gonna have 4 players fighting it out, try and get their hands on a starter deck. There we go. Had fun. Also, I'm thankful. That was an incredible matchup. Good job, everybody. And hope everybody had fun. Whew. I thought I had to ban somebody for flirting with me, but no, it's actually my wife, so we're good. Great question, love. That's going to be forever on stream. Just hope you know that. But up next again here, so for these players here in the Carablu Cup. So I'm looking for Zexy, I'm looking for Ethit, Robert Tacho, and Yin from Wildfire. Let's take a look. Let's monitor the lobby. We'll see who we end up getting here in just a moment's time. Billionaire here in the chat. How do we check our collection score? Depends on the platform. Like this week, for example, I did use Ratty data. In the past, I've been using the Scoriox Stats app, but as Potan actually made the call out into the stream chat as well, there's also Illuvium Market that you can do, which each of them do have their different weight. The scores look completely different. So it's a little bit irritating, but at the same time, just a matter of knowing which platform I'm using. I know, sweetheart, you're good, you're good. And I love you too. So I'm your support side wife. Oh, interesting. That's one way to do it. All right. It looks like we have all of our Carablus in lobby. So let's start this one up right here, right now. The final matchup. We have all of our brand newcomers that do have it either no collection whatsoever or very few Illuvials. That's why I say for here, Billionaire, say, could you join the cup? For Carablu Cup, while I know that you're new, you also have a ton of Illuvials, which kind of inadvertently pumped you into Lynx League already. For some of these players here today, they either have nothing or very, very little. So I can't have you in this time by here, Axe. I look forward to having you again sometime soon, absolutely. And then, what are these players playing for? Again, I mentioned the starter decks. It's these guys right here. So, sure enough, we've been talking a lot about penguins over this arena matchup. Well, hey, there's a deck right to the left-hand side here featuring the 6 Illuvials you need to score that Vanguard style. That is going to be available alongside an all-out risky but very, very strong all-out Mud Squad. And then my personal favorite, but I'm also biased as hell, I play a lot of corner, the Natural Defenders, where it's more of a protect the C4s or protect the carry kind of style, but could be turned into an Aegis team. How this is going to end up going is that whoever ends up winning the lobby will tell me which deck they want first. Then whoever got second picks second, third picks third. That way, no matter what, everybody's going to be getting a deck. But if anybody has any sort of preference that they want to shoot for, the higher the better. Let's get into this. Oh, and we get some chaos here for our Carablu Cup game too. Let's go. What's Chelsea joining the Carablu Cup? Well, here's the thing. I'd absolutely love for that to happen. We tried to install Illuvium onto her laptop, and it says that the game cannot be played on integrated graphics. And we only have one computer in the home, which I'm using. So, unfortunately, unless I take a stream off, I would absolutely love to have Chalice Online here in the Carablu Cup, but it's difficult. If we're lucky one day, maybe we'll get another computer. Robert Tacho, did you DC? Oh no, they're here. We're good. When Arena Mobile? Well, we know it's kind of on the back burner for now based off of that last roadmap. But hey, maybe someday. Maybe someday. But you can hear it in the background. Let's hop into this here. Our final matchup here in Illuvium Arena House League. Our 4th session of House League. And finally, we have our very first dedicated lobby of Carablu Cup. We do have a handful of bots in this one, but do not fret. We do have our actual players. We have Ethet, ZejaqWildfire, Zexy, and Robert Tacho. In the past, when we had Carablu Cups kind of invade the Lynx League, Robert Tacho did perform the best of the Carablus in that instance. So as of right now, they're the one looking for that 2-time win in the Carablu Cup. We'll have to see if maybe they can score that here today. But of course, some very strong opponents and equally matched opponents as well here with Ethet, ZejaqWildfire, and Zexy. Gotten the opportunity a handful of times on the ranked ladder to compete against all three, whether it be Robert Tacho, Ethet, or Zexy. And they are all rather creative. I absolutely love the stuff that they're playing against, and I wish that, I look forward to seeing when they've leveled up a bunch, gotten a couple more extra Illuvials on board as well, because I love the teams that they're creating. It's not the standard stuff that we see all the time. Here today, we'll have to see. Maybe they end up going for something a little bit more traditional. But what is traditional on a 2-day-old patch? We'll have to see. And I hardly ever get the opportunity to see ZejaqWildfire, but they were part of, I believe, either week 2 or week 1 of House League. So I expect that they'll do pretty decent here as well, or pretty good here as well, as I kind of curse them a little bit. I'm hyping them up a little bit, and then all of a sudden, Ethet just put on the gas here with this Lynx, level 26er, but it's got, of course, what I was calling things a little bit crazy in this game. We've got legendary augments kind of coming on through as well. And this is going to be rather nasty here, especially for Ethet. They do have the Devouring Core, getting a bunch of additional damage amp while also stealing resistances. This is like a DPS's best friend. Meanwhile, we see here on the other side, it's actually going to be Ethet versus Zexy. We have basically the advanced version of the Phase Breaker augment, but in legendary form, where you're going to be getting the, what was it here, Omnivamp, as well as attack speed and Omega power, it looks like, as well. But they're putting it onto their Doka. The Doka was just a little guy. It was just a level 1, unfortunately, so it couldn't necessarily perform as high as I imagine they wish they could. But how about this Tatofi in the back line? Level 22 could not tank the Flish Beam. Nice little shot from this great Fire Flish. And you know what? This works. Like, people look at this and call it a low TPI Illuvial, but here's the thing. It's got attack speed and it's got Omega power. What does Flish need? Attack speed, if you're lucky, attack damage, and Omega power. So there you go. You know what? This Flish does the job. It does quite nicely. And hell, even look at this Stoic Lynx here for Ethet as well. It's not maxed out on HP, but it's damn well close. That is actually a fantastic Stoic Lynx. I've been showing a lot of love here to Ethet, but we are in our first NPC round. Let's take a look and see how everybody's holding the line in regards to economy for this one. Yin's going to be up against a bot, but that's okay. Let's kind of keep track of a few things. I've had a hard time, I guess, even starting off this one. I haven't even touched on the weapons. My goodness, I'm slacking. All right, Ethet does have this Lava Gauntlet going for a Fire Scion potential style. Pairing up nicely with this Flish for the start here. We do have, I'm not going to regard the bots, but how about ZejaqWildfire, the Growth Sword coming on through? A handful of nature units coming on through as well, looking for the Fury here at the same time. So Yin going for Wildfire could be absolutely on brand. Do have a couple headies on the bench too, so yeah, looks like that's exactly what they're doing. Zexy also has the Lava Gauntlet. 3 out of the 4 players have Lava Gauntlets. That's kind of crazy to see, but we have the one here for Zexy, which is set up for Shock, actually, Shockanite. But of course, that's more of a later stage build rather than the one that we're going to see right here, right now. I'm curious to see where it goes. And then last but not least, one of our past winners here in the or rather our only past winner here in the Carablu Cup is going to be Robertacho again, using that fire or that lava gauntlet. Have it set up for Harbinger style, potentially Magma Harbinger, but still very early stages. Illuvium sponsor that family a PC. That would be next level. I do not ever expect that in the slightest, but that would be pretty legendary. Yeah, the bot guild is here. Absolutely. Sorry, catching up with chat here as well. The weekly training sessions. Absolutely. And glad that I'm... And then Toriel with the shout out. Thank you for this, Toriel. This means a ton. I'm good at commentary and actually helps you know which Illuvials are actually on the board. I'm so thankful that I'm able to assist. So I know if I go just completely nonsensical and go super excited all the time, and at the same time we're not really learning, right? And half the time, or that's half the battle, the nature bots are too strong. That's another thing too, right? In the past, little bit, because the top level players were destroying bots so badly and not really gaining much experience for it, in the past we did get a patch that basically, it was supposed to take the average, I think, Illuvium level or something along those lines of like the top player and the bottom player in the lobby and try to find a middle ground. But what seems to be happening is it's actually a little bit on the stronger side. So not just like newcomers are having a hard time up against bots. Like everybody is having a hard time up against bots, which is kind of crazy. But it keeps you honest. I know, at least personally, if I'm playing too greedy of a play style and I'm just trying to go pure economy and I don't care, oh, this is a bot, I'm totally fine. Stream, how many times have I said, oh, this is a bot, I'm completely fine, and then all of a sudden lost? It happens here and there. It absolutely does. Over to Robertacho, we got double Fire Fleesh firepower coming on through. Try and take out this bot here, but there's a lot of backline coming on through here for Robertacho. I imagine they'll be able to plow on through. That Ranger in the corner is going to make things a little bit difficult, I imagine. But there's just too much firepower, and this TNT is actually a very solid TNT as well. Has the right, one of the nice legendary augments for it here as well for a spellcaster. So a nice little pickup, and a perfect time to hop in and ride along with Robertacho, of course, our past Carablu Cup winner, as they're now going up against Ethit, who has successfully scored Shock extremely early, because they found a stupid early Squiz. That is incredible. Of course, Squiz being a tier 5 means that at level 5, I believe, it's like a 1% chance to find a tier 5. And then level 6 is like 3%. It's extremely low chance. But the fact that they scored that Squiz and they're using that Fire Gauntlet does allow for this. Now it's going to be an Invoker Shock style, but the Invoker will not be online. But I'm still going to be very, very curious to see how this goes, considering on the opposite side, we have something of the same here. This is another damn Squiz coming on the other side, but we're going to not have Shock this time. The Charm coming out from the Gas Attempt actually pulls the Squiz away from the Flish Beam, keeping it alive at just under a quarter HP, but now the Shock comes through from Ethit, and that is going to do some serious damage and finish the job on that fight. And then ZejaqWildfire and Zexy were both going up against bots. Let's take a look at our next battle here in just a moment. I think we're almost due for a potential weapon switch. We'll have to see how that goes here in a second. I had a feeling there's an NPC round coming. There it is. Okay. So, of course, Ethit is currently in control of this lobby. Has not lost a round just yet. Currently 100 HP still in the tank. A lot of that having to do with finding a Squiz nice and early, but also at the same time having that Stoic Lynx to be an absolute menace, while also having the Dust combo here with the Revo and the Quinks. So having that online, you've got damage plus disruption. That's actually a nice little combo. And there's even a Riptorus hanging out in the back lines here as well, who's ready to come play potentially for some serious damage. On the side of ZejaqWildfire, let's take a look and see what they're cooking up as of right now. It looks like they're going to be going for some sort of Verdant's Brawler kind of style, considering they've got the Twine, they've got the tanky Adaptive Plate Legendary there as well. So the longer that Twine stays in, not only is it going to get tankier, but it's also going to be doing more damage at the same time. So a nice little combo there as we're going to see ZejaqWildfire go up against Zexy. Zexy, what are you cooking? This looks like Inferno Arcanite as of right now, but they're kind of missing the Arcanite portion. Does not necessarily matter. They don't have a Furiox to capitalize on that anyway. So just having the Inferno early, you have the AC 130 over here, and it's got all the offensive stats you essentially want, with the exception of a little bit of attack speed. But that's a-okay. A level 35, and there's a lot of nature on this other side. There's a good chance that this Arctase can actually go hyper if they can keep themselves safe. Because that's the only problem with the Arctase, right? Is that as it flies on through to the furthest alluvial away from it, it could sometimes put itself directly into the center of everybody's firing line and end up getting itself killed, as we do see here. The Archos, can it stop the Arctase? Nope, it's going to get out just in the nick of time. A beautiful little carpet bomb coming on through here from that Arctase is going to be able to just add on additional damage. But this is where the burden's coming in a beautiful fashion from ZejaqWildfire, able to just keep their Illuvials alive. They were all within a quarter HP, so close to dying, but could not actually get the kill shot. Zexy, a valiant effort, but couldn't quite get it there. Robertacho and Zexy going up against bots, but we do have a battle of our top two Carablus. Let's get ourselves a little bit of an overhead view while we take a look at things economy-wise. ZejaqWildfire spent basically everything in the bank already, but if they're going for Wildfire, it is reliant on a lot of early rolling, whether it be for the level 7s to try and get Blotto, or not just Blotto, but getting Crunk could potentially do it as well. You could very well look for the Drop Bear line, Chocoral as well, or Chacondi, but that's a very, very risky way to go, especially if you like playing Bunker. So the middle ground here is going to be taking this Verdant style. So Sixth Nature, got Verdant here as well, Empaths, Bulwarks, and Templars, up against Ethid, who does again have that Shock, but again, Shock is looking for the final blows to try and actually finish off these Illuvials. And what's going to be extremely annoying is trying to do that while everything is healing in a Verdant's puddle. Squiz, can you find the shot onto the Crunk maybe? Not quite this time. I think Fernite had something to do with that one. A beautiful interrupt going to stop him in its tracks. Good stun from the Grocco as it does end up going down. Squiz to the sky, not going to quite be able to get the killing blows again. Oh, even on top of all of this Verdant, the one thing that completely slipped my mind, why are they healing so much? Verdant doesn't heal that much. You've got this Adorito here as well. And even if you don't own the Adorito, the healing, it's percentage based. So you're still going to be finding some serious value. And that's going to make it so that Ethid gets their first loss so far in this lobby. ZejaqWildfire going to take the lead. And now all of our players are playing up against each other. It seems like our players here at this Carablu Cup have been able to handle the bots relatively nicely. So this means we should have ourselves eventually a top 4 scenario with all of our players in a final kind of not sudden death scenario, but final top 4 scenario. Let's ride along here with Ethid once again, going up against Zexy. Ethid in the red this time by Zexy's Arctase actually got completely stopped by a charm, so it's not going to be able to get the carpet bomb it was looking for, and it was going right for that Squiz too, which would have been so valuable. But there was some serious damage from that Mammoth. This thing just did an absolute chunker on basically the entire team from Ethid, and look at that, lines them all up beautifully for the Arctase to kind of get the wombo combo 1-2 punch coming on through. Gonna give Ethid another shot. Let's hop on over to ZejaqWildfire and Robertacho at the same time. For these two, they're getting right down to the very end of it, but the Squiz, it's evolved into the Octius, and that is going to be perfect timing here for Robertacho. And they actually have caught an Octius before, so this is huge. It may not necessarily have a ton of Omega power, but it's got level 2 Omega power. It is going to be still stronger than the baseline Octius. And it's got the right augments here as well. Robertacho, right on point now going up against Zexy. This is actually kind of perfect. You're going to be consistently getting Omega power and energy resist. You're going to continue to get more Omega power the longer the fight goes on, and then just consistently regenerating your energy so much faster. Tell you what, Robertacho is pretty much exactly where they need to be. I love what they've done with their Ranger here as well. They got the suit on it that lets it jump to the other side, potentially helping with a couple or a quick early burst damage to maybe set up that Octius. But Zexy, that Jokul, that Quinks just absolutely messed everything up. The Quinks charmed that Octius directly into the claws of that Jokul, and they were able to get taken down. Zexy, a good little combination there to get the job done. Let's hop over with Ethan going up against the Bond. Looks like Yin, what are you up to as well? Yin looks like they're in good control here as well, it looks like. So far, so good here for our players. Everybody looking like they're in prime position to hit that top 4. Now we're hyping Yin Wildfire up a little bit, considering they're doing, I guess, the best so far. But the big caveat here is the fact that they only have 1 credit to their name. Again, they've spent essentially everything. It looks like they're pushing heavy towards that Adorito, as well as the Fur Knight here in the corner. What do they have on the bench? They are 1 away, actually, from finding an Archelian, which is a little bit annoying. There is 1 other Archos being held by a bot, but otherwise is unlucky not being able to hit it, because you can, for a fact, have 2 fully evolved tier 1 of the same species in a game. So it's just unfortunate that's not been hitting right now here for Yin Wildfire. But with that being an NPC round, maybe this will be the opportunity to roll down and go for it, or maybe try and save. We'll have to see. One player that's saved an absolute boatload is Ethan. 92 coins currently in the pocket here as they go up against the bot. And they can very well maybe look for an Octius for themselves. They could potentially find another Fiery for a Furiox. They have a handful of ways that they can go. They even have a little Ador here for healing if they wanted to go for. So they have a lot of different units, not necessarily focusing on one thing, but they have a lot of options, and at least thankfully, they have a lot of credits to be able to make some serious pivots. One player with a serious pivot right here, or a serious focus, is the fact that Zexy found what could very well be the ace in the hole if it finds the right spot. This ramp fight is here, level 37. So, I mean, first off, congrats on catching this thing, first and foremost. That's hard to find, but they have probably one of the most, like, underutilized but fun combos that you can do here in Illuvium, where you get the mammoth to shunt things into your ramp fight. It is so fun if you could pull it off, because it's essentially 2 big chunks of burst damage and stuns. It's kind of incredible. And there we go. We've lost all of our bots. So now all these Illuvials are back in the pool for our players here to have the 4-player showdown that we were looking for. And it's always going to be player versus player. I want to see what ends up happening here with Ethan, because they're the one that has the ton of credits on board. Furiox is here. It's online. Little level 24 has made the field. There's a lot of damage augments all over the board here as well. Potentially throwing some onto the Furiox could be good, as long as you could keep it safe. Because Zexy could be in for a fun time, considering the amount of openings going up against this ramp fight. If the ramp fight manages, because look at this, there's literally a hole dead center, and Zexy is absolutely going to be there. But I love the last minute move here from Ethan to maybe have potentially baited this over. But the problem is that, again, the Phantom coming online is going to make it so that it's untargetable. So it's not going to end up getting targeted until just this moment, right in time for some big damage from that ramp fight. It takes down basically everybody, including that Furiox. The damage is all gone, but the Inferno still lingers, and that is just absolute nightmare fuel coming out here for Ethan as Zexy just finds the slot and does huge damage. Let's get over to Yin Wildfire and Robert Tacho. How did this one end up going down? It's actually going to be Robert Tacho. This Scion squad doing me proud here. This is the squad coming on through in beautiful fashion. You've got the Invoker, 5 Scion, 5 Bulwark. If there was an Archos in this would basically be the team that I would try and run over and over again. I'm not going to be calling it my team. My ego is not that inflated, but this is something I'm very, very familiar with, and I absolutely love what Robert Tacho is doing, and this could actually be very deadly. And this is so heartbreaking actually here for Ethit. In the one team versus Zexy, you want to be bunched up to block the ramp fight. Now you're going up against the Scions, where the last thing you want to do is line up your entire backline for a thin-off beam. Let it rip, why don't we? Right through the entire backline. It is not going to one-shot it, but hey, that's what you got an Octius for. Clean up Octius. It's going to do exactly what it needs to do. The front line held just enough. Ether with a valiant effort, but it's not going to be enough just yet. It's taken down, and then it looks like Zexy and Robert Tacho now get to play each other now. ZejaqWildfire and Ethit, they both had their time in this to shine, but they blew all their credits. And they both have kind of like different scenarios going. ZejaqWildfire has some seriously well-evolved Illuvials, did end up finding the Archelion. And then on the opposite end, Ethit's just flooding the board. Level 10 with basically as many Illuvials as you possibly can. And then here, Robert Tacho in the green, Zexy in the red. Currently the top two players in this lobby, but the one big thing to note here is Robert Tacho has a 2-level advantage. 2 more Illuvials, having more tanks to have to try and get through. That's exactly what your Scions want. And let it rip, Octius takes down 2 before the Sin-Off even fires off its shot. There goes the Ranger, there goes the Mammoth. The burst damage is serious, and I'm not sure if Rampfight and the Monarch are going to be able to get the job done here. The Inferno is going to subside, and unfortunately, just out of range here for that Rampfight. But even if they did get it, I don't think it would have actually dealt with the tanks. So Zexy going to take a hit. Down to 46, still has at least 2 more rounds, 2 more losses potentially in the tank in a worst case scenario. What I'm really curious about here is Yin and Ethit. See if we can catch up here. It's actually a final battle scenario. This is a little bit of a nightmare scenario here for ZejaqWildfire, with just having the big tank and the big support left. Might not have the firepower to get the job done. So now, with 1 more NPC rounds, we're probably going to have this match completely finished before we see another NPC rounds. This, to me, is probably your last big burst of credits into the tank. Robert Tacho again leading the charge, not just in health, but also economy. 27 credits still to the bank. And I'd argue that their carries in this instance can probably base off of level, the fact that they've gone out and captured this, whether it was in the overworld long ago, or whether they picked it out in the Illuvidex, or potentially got lucky and scored it in one of our auto drone runs, whether it be from pricing or just from an auto drone run they did themselves. The fact that these are at least leveled up a little bit, level 20, level 30. Again, every time that you level up, that's a 1% gain in health, attack damage, and omega power. So even just if it was just health, that's sustainability, that's survivability, right? But yet having damage on top of that, maybe Robert Tacho has got themselves in a bit of a sweet spot. But we'll ride along with them a little bit later, because we have Zexy versus ZejaqWildfire. Zexy looking to potentially put a kill shot in here onto ZejaqWildfire. The air, fire, plus this Inferno could very well turn these Illuvials hyper against it. The ramp fight's already hyper, so we're going to see these Omegas come out very quickly. There's one good chunk, but Archelion doing a fantastic job of topping everybody up nice and quickly. The verdant puddles have littered the field to try and make this as difficult as possible. But ramp fight one more time. Big damage, takes out the front line. Archelion has now procced the verdant puddle, but it's not going to be enough for a Knight and Naruto. What do you have? Not enough, unfortunately. ZejaqWildfire shall fall in 4th. GG's Yin. Now, Yin might have fallen in 4th, but don't go anywhere because I have a quick little announcement for you, Yin. We'll talk about it a little bit afterwards. Now we've got Zexy versus Ethit. Everybody's basically spent everything. The Gazatep coming online here, not from Ethit. Where is this Gazatep? I'm not losing it, am I? It's here. Hiding somewhere in this backline, right over there, with the additional stolen resistance augment. is a Gazatep that is going to be firing off charm after charm after charm. And the big issue right now for Ethit is that these charms do not have any way of being mitigated. They have the 4 Scion, but if they had the 5th, they would have immunity every time they cast. And with that, it's going to just make it so obnoxious. Ramp Fight as well as that Monarch just doing so much damage. Mammoth Shunt into the combo. Maybe he actually pushed it a little bit far aside, but this squad is just so deadly, and that is going to put Ethit down into 3rd place. GG's, Ethit. Congratulations on making the podium. And hang tight, because we will still get a chance to get you a starter deck alongside some prizing. Always a pleasure seeing all of you on the battlefield. Hope you had fun no matter what. And now I'm starting to get a little bit tingly. I'm trying to figure out if it's my blood pressure medication or if it's the fact that this Aphisto is online. And this thing, it might not have great stats, but the thing it has, max Omega power. This thing's gonna hit like a truck. We just have to keep it alive. That Ramp Fight's actually in a pretty decent spot. The Axon doing a good job of at least pushing it away from potentially hitting the Sinolf. Where's it gonna go? And that's gonna be it right there. Aphisto, raid it down! And there it goes. That's what we love to see. That's gonna be Aphisto taken to in such quick fashion. And the Mammoth is there as the perfect little bodyguard, shunting them away. Zexy could be in trouble. 2nd place isn't too shabby, but I know they would love to be able to score themselves a 1st place finish here. And it's so unfortunate. They are 2 Rampies away from having that Ramp Fire. Having that additional Infernal Illuvial on top of that would definitely help. But the one crazy thing too, did you see how much Aphisto healed? That little bit of Omnivamp on a thing that does that much burst damage is absolutely incredible. Not to mention as well the 2nd wind to assist with additional healing as well. Let's see if Zexy can pull this off. They again have that Gazatep looking to make some charms, but look, that's the problem, that 5 Scion immunity. It's going to be so difficult to deal with. Gazatep just got 1 shot. It's off the field, but some good damage coming out here from Ramp Fight, and as well as the Monarch. It's diving on in, but it's going to get blown up pretty much immediately, and the Bear and the Mammoth blocks so nicely. A 1-on-1, 1-on-2 scenario, and that is going to keep it close, but not it just yet. Holy smokes. So first off, I lied. We have another NPC rounds before this game finishes. Zexy held the line long enough to be able to get that done. And that's exactly what I was looking for. That was the big thing, is 1 more round of credits alongside an NPC round influx of credits. Is that enough to get Zexy Rampfire? Well, not only did they find the Zexy Rampfire, it's a rather sexy Rampfire. They actually have caught this thing, level 40, and it's relatively tanky as well. Level 1 on Omega Power, but I mean, you still get some decent Omega Power, or the damage increases thanks to evolution. So this Rampfire, this fight makes or breaks all off of this Rampfire. If they can find a slot to drop this thing in, it will nearly one-shot everything, and then it's just a matter of hopefully Monarch and Rampfire cleaning up. Heck, even Gazatep's charm, you might be able to nullify the charm, but you can't nullify the damage from it. So maybe that could assist with a one-tap kind of scenario. You can see everybody's anxious. They don't want to show their hand too quickly. Zexy needs this in order to stay in the game. They do have a Furiox here as well now. This gets them up to 4 fire, it looks like, and what a fantastic upgrade coming out here from Rubber Tacho as well. In the chance that you need a bodyguard, Mamu, the Mammoth, is probably one of the best you could possibly get. But let's get a better angle here. Can the ramp fight go to the skies? Infernal Skyfall. Here we go. Can you get the Aphisto? You can! Aphisto's down! Tianti's down as well, but it's just down to the Infernos. Monarch to the sky. AC 130 above. Carpet bomb right on through. The Infernos have clutch. Zexy is clutching. Next battle wins. What a way for our very first Carablu Cup round to go. Everybody has spent everything. It is now just a matter of positioning. The Invokers coming on through, they need time in order to actually ramp up truly. If Robert Tacho does not get bursted, they win this. But if that Rampfire could find a sweet spot one more time, it could be curtains. Let's see one more time. It's kind of stuck to the outside, but it's still going to hit a Fisto. Takes it down to half, but a decent heal coming on through from the second win. The drone augment actually comes in clutch. Fantastic defense. But how about this? Rampfire, can you clutch 1v3? No, it's not going to be enough. Robert Tacho makes the proper adjustment necessary defensively, keeps that Rampfire to the side. And the rest of the team are going to be able to hold the line. What a game, a very close game, but congratulations, Robert Tacho, on winning here in the very first full session of the Carablu Cup. That's what we love to see. Of course, big congratulations and GGs to everybody. Everybody here in this lobby. Gotta love Inferno. I mean, it's so high risk, so high reward, right? It's so satisfying to see when it pops off. It's so cool. But you can hold. You can augment. You can position. But one slip up and you are so cooked. But a fantastic game. I absolutely love that. Again, big congratulations to everybody. GG's, Robert Tacho, Zexy, Ethit, ZejaqWildfire. Absolute fantastic matchup. And Yin, I don't want you to go home empty-handed here. So, I will write it down here on my notes. While I might not have a starter deck for you, I can do a charged run. I have a tiny little bit of extra fuel. I can do a charged run for ZejaqWildfire. That way, everybody here in the Carablu Cup today is able to walk away with something. They won't be going home empty-handed. So with that, whether it's in or probably in the Discord, so please go to me in the Discord. And I'll do a reminder. So for the top 3, it doesn't have to be immediately, we'll go in order, but I do want to give the shout outs once again. So Robert Tacho, you'll end up picking first. Zexy, you pick second. And then Ethit, you pick third. On to one of these starter decks. You've got the Vanguards, which includes everything you need to actually get a Vanguard team started. So that's the Penguin. That's going to be your slapping, stabbing, and slashing. You get all 3. As well as Lura, Lulura, and Malura. So you'll get both of the Vanguards. It's only a pack of 6 Illuvials, but those are all tier 3s. So it has a little bit of a higher value. So that's why there's a few lesser Illuvials. But just with that right there, could get you kickstarted on something that just happens to be meta right now. Then, of course, there is the all-out mud. These are all tier 1s, but this is what can get you every Illuvial you need for that 4 mud composition, which can be risky to get, but so deadly if you hit it. Of course, you can also just splash them into other Earth or Fighter teams as well, with that taking care of the entire Monkier line, Gorilla line, and Apon line. And then with the Natural Defenders, you'll get the entire Komodo Dragon line, so that's Hetty, Krunk, Blotto. You'll then also get the Archie, the Turtles, so you'll get the Archie, Archos, and Archelion, as well as a carry for yourself, which is going to then be the Tofi, Tianti, and Seaforus. So, Robert Tacho again, you get to pick one, then Zexy, then Ethit. It doesn't have to be this very second, but I'll ping you on the Discord momentarily, so we can get that all situated. And then again, ZejaqWildfire, I will write down here on my prizing document that I'm going to also send you a charged run full of Illuvials. that will be included on Monday's stream. For everybody who has scored any of the prizing for auto drone runs, Monday I do the stream, I open the auto drone runs, and I send those Illuvials to you live after documenting them, so we see exactly which Illuvials were open. Ends up being the exact Illuvials that you do end up getting in your inventory. That all gets opened up on Monday at 3:30. Anything in regards to Illuvium Beyond prizing, that comes early or in the middle of next week. Illuvium will send that themselves to you once I send off the wallet addresses for today's event. Now I see you coming on through here. Just making it out of periods. Hello. Yes, absolutely. We'll get you in one of these days. Somehow, someday. We'll make it happen. But this was a heck of a fun day. I'm very, very thankful that we were able to give Carablu Cup their own lobby. And then, holy smokes, both Lynx League and Monarch Masters today were absolutely stacked. And this just gets me excited, of course, for when actual, or not actual tournaments, but when bigger tournaments, bigger events start coming up. Like, say, for example, of course, the Lamborghini partnered tournament there with the Motorverse Cup. That should be coming in the beginning of May 9th, I believe is what they said. So it gets me even more excited for when the big competition starts showing up. I just hope that once the Motorverse Cup is over, that tournaments for Illuvium Arena just don't straight up stop. Because we still need some sort of competitiveness. It doesn't need to be a huge prize pool every single time, but I love this kind of thing. We need more of it, and I'd absolutely love to see it. But no matter what Illuvium themselves do, House League will be here as long as I could possibly do it. I've been enjoying it. I'm having a fun time. Again, my YouTube channel doesn't make a dime. And none of my stuff actually finances me in any way. But I'm enjoying my time here. So I will keep on pushing as long as I can. All of you are absolutely incredible. I love the community. Yous are all absolutely fantastic, and thank you for welcoming me as somebody who frankly just does not care about Web3 in terms of like investing, NFTs, or anything along those lines. What I do care about are some pretty awesome creatures battling due to the instructions of some pretty awesome people. And you have all welcomed me in with open arms, and with that I am so damn thankful, and I will keep doing this as long as I possibly can. If you want to assist in keeping these running, because of course the pricing right now, it's not out of my pocket because Illuvium is doing some sponsoring, but of course I can keep adding more to it by the fuel that I've been getting. Anything that I've been getting from my Illuvium Zero plots, my Illuvium Beyond rewards, Arena ranked rewards, or even my referral code for the Illuvidex. Code Sylen, by the way, if you want to throw that in there, especially with the Lamborghini discs coming out. That'd be kind of huge, actually. But anything like that all comes back to these events one way or another, whether it be through fuel, so I can open auto drone runs, or maybe even potentially beyond discs in the future. And then if it does come out in Ethereum, I save that for picking out individual Illuvials in the Illuvidex for these starter decks. That on top of all of the huge community help that we've had, whether it be Illuvitars, Illuvials, or just sending a bunch of different prizing. Yous have sent me so much stuff that I'm trying to ration it out properly, because there is so much stuff, and I am so thankful that we can keep going for a pretty considerable amount of time, even if we dried up today. So I'm super thankful. And to everybody saying thank you, you're absolutely welcome. I'm having an absolute blast, just absolutely loving this. And I look forward to more, or to more events in the near future. In regards to my stream schedule for the week, that is it for me for this week. I will be coming back on Monday for the auto drone and the prizing stream. All the auto drone runs that we've got as prizing here today, we'll open them up on Monday. That'll be at 3:30 in the afternoon. Same start time as today, but on Monday. Wednesday, we'll have This Week in Illuvium. We'll have a lot to talk about, whether it be a roadmap, a patch. We have a lot to talk about. So we'll go over all of the Illuvium news. If there's any time extra, maybe I'll get a ranked game in. or two we'll happen to see. And Friday, we're right back at it. We'll get into House League. I'd love to do this all over again next week on Friday. But until then, I do got to call it a night for the day, or call it a night for the night. You know what I mean. This was fun. Thank you all so much. I'll see you Monday.